I guess the main thing I'll talk about is I've been reading a book, and this is a non-fiction book.
Oh, this is a first.
No, it's fucking not. I've read non-fiction books before. How dare you, little shit?
This is first one.
The book is called Shareware Heroes by Richard Moss. This is going to get fucking nerdy, mates. So
is this like Napster shit?
No, earlier than that.
Oh.
So this was Shareware was a particular form of distribution of software and video games, like in the late 80s, early 90s, where people would basically give away the software, and at the start have like a splash screen which would say, if you enjoyed using this software, please send $10 to me as a thank you or whatever, but you can use it for free. And software would spread like that. And the book is basically charting the history of that. Because it got to the point where like Doom, for instance, was a Shareware game. With Doom's in 3 episodes. They gave out the first episode for free, encouraged people to pirate it, copy it, send it to their mates, all that kind of thing.
Yep.
But if you wanted chapters 2 and 3, you had to buy it, and you had like an encryption code and stuff like that. And this book talks about that, and it gets in touch with people. There was a huge Shareware distribution hub down the road from me in North Shields. I didn't know that. I learned that one.
Oh.
Very weird when I'm like opening it, and it's got like screenshots from like some of these software on there, and it's like showing the address to write to, and it starts with NE29. I'm like, hang on, that's up here.
I didn't know there was a North Shield. I know there was a South Shield. I didn't know there was a North one.
Did the existence of a South not imply a North?
No, just some like it's just some
West
places.
Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, East Riding.
Yeah, but
South of France.
He's doing East Hampton as well as like Northampton and Southampton.
It floated off into the sea.
Probably. I just didn't know there were a North Shield, but thank you for the education.
But yeah, so the author Richard Moss, he's he's an award-winning journalist who's kind of is an Australian fella, but he's based most of his career around tech and video games and stuff like that. Worked for like PC Gamer, Polygon, Rock Paper Shotgun, stuff like that. And he's done work with like Bitmap Books, which were
I've got loads of them.
Yeah,
I've got loads of them. I've got too many Bitmap books, mate. They're the only emails that I get. You know, my junk ones that I actually read. Like, ooh, what next Bitmap book's going to turn up? I fucking love them. They smell fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really interesting little book. Just like I said, charting the history of this kind of weird little subsect of the gaming industry, which kind of cropped up around independent developers and people who didn't really work for big studios or anything like that. Just getting their software out there, and like people who then went on to become big name developers or big name distributors. Talks about the fact that a lot of people tried to get rich off this very quickly. Some did, most didn't. It's one of those things. If you've heard about it, you're too late. To make money out of it. But what I'm enjoying is, like I say, almost every other page has got some screenshot for some old kind of Commodore or Apple II software on there. It's given me such a massive nostalgia buzz. It really is, and it's actually it's worth going to the website sharewareheroes.com. Because he's laid it out like it's an old DOS application, and like even like the cursors, like that rectangular cursor, that kind of formats the text, and it's so good. It's just reminding me of the good old days of not the good old days, because computing was really fucking difficult back then. It reminds me of my days of young computing.
Yeah, you grew up in like a computer gaming house, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I can remember, there was like Commodore 64s or Amstrad CPCs kicking about. We got our first PC when I was 6 or 7, something like that. Like it was like an old 486.
I was 18 before I even touched a PC, and you can tell.
And that's when you discovered that you could get porn on them.
Oh, it was a big day for me.
I was in a massive piracy ring. Well, I wasn't part of it.
Still are.
Of course you are. You still are, mate. You're the fucking captain.
I gained lots of games from my Amiga back in the day.
I was in a big piracy ring. Fuck me, mate. You're Captain fucking Blackbeard.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I've been in that room.
emulating.
I've been in that room. You've got a desk like Scarface's, apart from it's full of floppy disks rather than cocaine.
Emulation's different.
Yeah.
Is it though?
Is
you
it?
definitely own that copy of Dizzy Egg. I'm sure you do, don't you? Not. Exactly.
But yeah, worthwhile picking up, and you can get it everywhere. You can get it in paperback or digitally or hardback or even audiobook as well.
I might read it because I've been reading some of them old tech. I was reading one on Amstrad. I read a this week on Amstrad, and it was really, really fascinating. I love how Flight of Fancy, some of these suits back then used to be. They were like, we're going to be the next Apple computer or the next Atari. It's like, you're not. You're absolutely not. I promise you now.
I mean, there were loads of the time, like the amount of times in televisions, like tried coming back.
Yeah. It's so fucking. I like that 80s yuppie vibe where they're all like, everything's going to be amazing. We're all going to be millionaires. Like, you're not.
You'll enjoy this book then, because it's really, it is actually really interesting. It's a different.
Yeah, I'm into it.
It's a different take, and I think what's kind of holding me onto it as well is because I've read a lot of like books about various bits of the gaming history. Or bits of gaming history, and most of them are too broad and like don't hold your attention. They can't get detailed enough. This is a really specifically nerdy subset of the gaming industry, and it works for me. Yeah, it's really interesting. And Richard Moss is a great writer.